Hello everyone, Namaste and welcome back. How are the winters treating you? Here in Hyderabad, it's cold in the evenings and early in the mornings, but the sun is still scorching in the mornings and the skin is drying out really bad. By the way, I'm right now obsessed with my new skincare regime. I tried new Emmeline drugstore moisturizer and it's just beautiful. I already lined up a video on my skincare and hair care routine, so stay tuned. Also, thanks a lot for liking my cookware collection. Hope it could be of some use to you. For those who haven't watched it, the link is in the description box. Please check. Coming back to today, it's Sunday, kids are at home, and as the next few days are going to be jam-packed for me, I have decided to make some pickles and keep them handy so that in those rush hours and tired hours, even if I just cook rice, we can manage with the pickles and we South Indians can live on pickle rice for days together. I store all my pickle related stuff in some boxes in my puja room storage. I showed it in my puja room cleaning video. If you haven't watched, the link is in the description box. So I got them out and I'm starting off with the initial preps. I will be needing tamarind pulp for two of the pickles, so I first put the tamarind pulp to boil as it needs to soften and cool down for me to remove its pulp. I've taken around 1/4 kg tamarind and with just little water I will be simmering it on low flame until a boil comes. I'm going to make my version of mango achar today, and for that I have soaked the mangoes in water for a while. This will prevent the mangoes from going soft. I will also be making tomato pickle and cabbage pickle today. Me and my younger daughter Tanvi love cabbage pickle and we all enjoy feasting on tomato pickle, and these are our go-to pickles for almost all tiffins and of course rice. So for the tomato pickle, I need to cook the tomatoes on low flame until the water evaporates and then cool it down completely before starting off the next process. For this, I am first washing the tomatoes thoroughly and wiping them off with a napkin as there shouldn't be any water on them. Even if little water is present, then there is a chance of the pickle to rot, and this rule is applicable to all the pickles. So I am wiping them and cutting them into 8 pieces. Each tomato I have cut it into 8 pieces. I have taken 1 kg tomatoes here, but I have saved few in the end for my usual cooking. So in total I have taken around 3/4 kg tomatoes, and for this I have taken around 2 to 3 tablespoons of oil. The tomatoes need to simmer in the oil until the juice from them becomes thick and the raw smell of the tomatoes disappear. So I am covering it with a lid and allowing it to cook. Now I am preparing for the mango pickle. You know, technically mango pickles are made in summer during the months of April or May when the mangoes are very sour and the heat in the atmosphere helps the proper release of juices from the mangoes, and this pickle when stored properly in a barni would stay fresh throughout the year. But nowadays, even if the pickle is made the same way, it's staying fresh for only 3 to 4 months, and once its freshness is lost, my family is not even touching it. So, from past 3 years, I have made it a practice to make this pickle in such quantity that it lasts for only a month or max 2. This way we don't indulge in it too much and it can be eaten fresh whenever wanted, as nowadays raw mangoes are available 365 days near my place. So here I have taken 3 mangoes and I have wiped them thoroughly. I am using this traditional stand cutter to cut the mangoes. This is ancestral, it's my mother-in-law's, and I use this especially to cut the mangoes as this is the only one that can penetrate well into the pit of the hard mango shell. I store it under the countertop cabinet. I have a practice of doing this, and that too as I make it in smaller quantities. It's not that difficult for me, but traditionally the mangoes are taken to a mango cutter and he cuts them into chunks. We get them home and remove its pits and wipe them thoroughly and air dry them for an hour for all the moisture to wear off. But again, I follow my Jugadu techniques, and as I am only going to use 3 mangoes here, I use the stand cutter to achieve the result. It does take little time and effort to get to this practice, but this is a very good helper in the kitchen. While I was dicing the mangoes, Tanvi was helping me removing the peels from the pits. Removing these is essential as otherwise they will obstruct the throat while eating. Tanvi likes to be along my side when I especially cook something like this. I have a feeling that among both my daughters, Tanvi has inherited my liking towards cooking. Now, for making this pickle, keeping simple measurements noted is enough. It's not something of a rocket science. For every 5 glasses or cups or any source of measurement to take, we have to add 2 cups of mustard seeds powder, 2 cups of red chili powder, and 1 cup of pickle salt. Pickle salt is optional, you can use normal salt too. So here I have taken a glass and I have measured 5 cups of these mango chunks. To this I have added 3 mangoes, branded red chili and mustard seeds powder. You can go ahead with your choice of brand. Some people even make the mustard powder at home, but I prefer it this way as I learned this way from my mom-in-law. Almost all the authentic curries or pickles I learned are from my mother-in-law. Both my mother and my mother-in-law are amazing cooks, and my husband, being a foodie, is very particular about what he eats. Also, I am not adding ginger or garlic to any of the recipes today as we like our pickles this way, especially my kids want it without ginger or garlic. Now coming back to the recipe, I added 1 tablespoon haldi, 1 tablespoon methi seeds or fenugreek seeds and mix well along with some oil. You can add some black chana too at this point as they taste amazing after marination, but I did not have them so I skipped it. While mixing, make sure that there are no lumps of salt present, else they won't soften and the pickle will be too salty at some places. Here I am taking the help of my husband to pour the oil while I mix it. After mixing everything, well, depending upon the sourness of the mangoes, add 1 tablespoon vinegar or 1 teaspoon citric acid granules. These act as both preservatives and increase the sourness of the pickle. I am covering it with lid and a thick napkin to prevent any kind of moisture penetrating it and keeping it inside a warm place. The more warmer the place is, the better the pickle will turn out. I will show the end result of it in the later part of the video. This pickle is something that we all as a family love to eat. Not only us, but even my sister-in-law and brother like it. I even parceled it to the US once and they all loved it. This is one such pickle which is made in every Andhra and Telangana house, and each recipe has a different version and different taste. Coming back to the tomatoes, they still haven't cooked completely. I just checked and covered the lid again. In the meanwhile, I will be prepping for the cabbage pickle. The main point here is we should not wash the cabbage as cabbage has layers, and if water gets into those layers then the whole pickle will go bad. If you want to wash, then you have to sun dry them again, and that's going to be a long and tedious process, and still we cannot be assured of it being moisture free. That's why I just removed the top layers and fine chopped the cabbage. Here you can also use manual chopper or electric chopper, but then there is a risk of cabbage releasing water which we don't want. In the meanwhile, the tomatoes have also cooked completely. I'm switching off the flame and letting it to cool down completely. For today's lunch, as everybody's favorite pickles are in the making, I have just made plain dal and kids asked for rasam. As I already have cooked tomatoes and soaked tamarind ready, I immediately kept the rasam to simmer. Here I have taken 2 tablespoons of tomato flesh along with 1 tablespoon tamarind pulp. To this I have added water as needed and added 3 teaspoons of dhania powder, around 1 to 2 teaspoons of pepper powder, haldi, salt, curry leaves, green chilies, and in the end some drumsticks. We love drumsticks rasam, and if you have rasam powder then you can skip the coriander powder and pepper powder. As I don't have it, I use these as alternatives. Now let this mixture simmer until it comes to a boil. While this is cooking, I have also put rice to cook so that by the time I finish off making both the pickles, rice cooker will have released the pressure and everything would be ready for lunch. After this, the next tedious work is to prepare the tamarind pulp. Tedious might not be the right word as it only takes 15 minutes to finish this task, but the process hurts. But anyways, I'm used to it by now. I prepare this pulp once in almost every 20 days. Many have asked me how to make these tamarind pulp cubes. I have shared in one of my meal prep videos, but that was long ago, so I am showing it now again. I remove the pulp this way by mixing little by little water to the boiled tamarind until all the pulp is strained into the bowl below. Alternatively, you can grind the entire pulp and strain it too, but again, my mom-in-law used to do this way, so I follow the same. This pulp can be frozen as ice cubes in the ice cube trays and then remove them and store them in Ziploc bags, and they are good to go for weeks together. You can use them in dal, in rasam, in sambar, for imli chutney and what not. This comes in handy as a great meal prep. Now coming to the pickles, here again I have taken a glass and measured the cabbage. For 5 glasses of this fine chopped cabbage, I have added 2 glasses of mirchi powder, around 3/4 glass of salt, as salt is something that is preferred as per taste. To this I added this methi seeds powder. I'll tell you how to make it in few minutes. Let's stick to the recipe. Next I have added around 2 ladles full of tamarind pulp. That's close to 1.5 glass of measurement, and a spoon of haldi. I'm mixing it along with some oil. Initially I've added very little oil. I will add the remaining oil in the tadka. Now coming to the methi seeds powder, I usually make it and keep it in my pantry to whip up these pickles instantly, but you can make it fresh too. All you have to do is, for 2 parts of methi seeds, take 1 part mustard seeds and dry roast them until the seeds splatter. Let them cool down completely and then grind them into a fine powder. You can store this powder in a glass jar and it stays fine for 2 to 3 months. That's why I make these in small batches. I have mixed the cabbage thoroughly. Press a little while mixing so that the cabbage releases its juices when combined with salt. The same way it's for the tomato pickle too. The tomatoes have cooled down completely, so to this mixture I have added 1 glass of red chili powder, half a glass of salt, 1 teaspoon methi seeds powder and around 1 tablespoon of tamarind pulp, as the tomatoes are already very sour. Mix everything well, and here it's your choice again. I like to grind it a bit coarsely, whereas some prefer it a little chunky, so they leave it at this stage. Both have very different tastes again. Even if the same ingredients are added, the process of making also plays a very important role in the overall taste of the dish. The chunky version has a very raw kind of taste, whereas this grinded version can be taken as a side dish with rice or dosa or idli or even chapati. Anyways, coming back to the grinding, many have asked me about the brand of my mixer grinder. It's Bosch mixer grinder, and it's been a year since I'm using it, and it's very nice. I haven't had any issues with it. It grinds even podis and chutney powders amazingly. So here I've grinded the tomatoes a little coarsely on pulse mode, and it's done. The texture should be as shown on the screen, neither too loose nor too thick. If it's too loose, it means that the tomatoes have not cooked properly and you have to store them in the refrigerator, else they'll go bad soon. And if it's too thick, then the tomatoes are overcooked and the chutney will taste different again. Here I am dishing out everything into a bowl so that I can give the tadka to it. Scrape out everything from everywhere, don't waste anything. Coming to the tadka, in any pickle, no matter whichever it is, the end tadka plays a very important role in the overall taste of it. Here I have taken a large tadka pan, as for these pickles the tadka oil will be more. Also the rasam is on the verge of getting done, so to balance all the flavors, I have added little shredded jaggery to it. Oh, by the way, have I mentioned clean as you go in this video yet? No, right? Clean as you go, dears. Else, for this entire process, if I hadn't followed that, my kitchen would have been in a complete mess. Coming back, any pickle, especially South Indian pickles, are not complete without adding hing ka tadka. So, here I am taking out the hing that I use for making pickles. This is the purest form of asafoetida or hing, and this is the potent one. So, I add this only to the pickles. Here I have taken few granules of this potent hing and I am making them into a fine powder in mortar and pestle. I will be using this for both the pickles. Making this into a fine powder is a must, else the granules will make the pickle taste bitter. So this should be the texture of it. Now the oil is hot enough. To this I added urad dal, mustard seeds, dry red chilies, and I am mixing them once. Once the mustard seeds splatter, I am adding half the hing powder to the tadka. Mix everything well and turn off the flame as we don't want to burn the spices here. If there is anything undercooked, the hot oil would do the job. Keep this mixture aside until it cools down. Here I am preparing for the tadka for the rasam. The rasam is also done. I have added few chopped coriander leaves to it. For tadka, I have taken some oil in the tadka pan to which I added urad dal, mustard seeds, jeera, methi seeds, dry red chilies and hing. I am using the normal hing here as we don't like the potent taste of hing in this rasam. The oil is lukewarm now, so I have added it to the cabbage pickle. To let the oil to cool down is an essential step for getting that nice red color. When we add hot oil to the pickle, the red chili powder in the pickle gets burnt and will become somewhat blackish and will change the color of the pickle, which we don't want. So with this, the cabbage pickle is done. The same way I am preparing the tadka for tomato pickle too. This requires a bit more oil. To this I have added urad dal, mustard seeds, dry red chilies, few methi seeds and allowed them to cook until the mustard seeds splatter, and after that I have added few curry leaves and the leftover hing powder. The same way I have allowed the oil to cool down to lukewarm and added it to the pickle. You might feel that the oil is too much, but look at it. The entire oil will be absorbed by the pickle after mixing. This is the tendency of the pickle. Also, it's not like we will be eating the whole thing in one day. At most 1 teaspoon of this pickle in a day is what we consume. So that's not something that I'm worried about. These pickles will last me for a month and I'm happy that my kids love the pickles that I make rather than the store-bought ones. Here I have added a clip of the mango pickle too. It's a must that the mango pickle should stay untouched for 2 days. After 2 days, we have to remix everything and check for the taste. So I have taken out the pickle the 3rd day and the oil has oozed out. I felt the need of some more oil as my husband likes it that way. So I'm adding some more oil to it and this tasted just amazing. Everything was sufficient. After this, I was cleaning up the kitchen and Mihika and Tanvi were helping me in loading the dishwasher. You know, as I mentioned before too, both my daughters help me a lot when they observe that I'm struggling alone in the kitchen. Tanvi especially, if she finds that I'm spending more time in the kitchen, she makes sure to come and ask me if in need of any help. Though I mostly say no, that concern alone kicks in the happiness of being wanted by your kid. After loading the dishwasher, both of them were setting the table too. Sundays and holidays are the only days where we all as a family have lunch together. So, we make sure to sit and have the meal peacefully. Sometimes it does happen that kids feel hungry if they have their dance classes on Sundays. As they exert their energy there, they come home immediately and gobble down the food. But otherwise, this is a practice that we follow most of the times. While kids were setting the table, I am cleaning up the kitchen as after all the tadka work, there will be oil splatters everywhere and if I don't clean it up, then we only will walk on those splatters and the oil marks are everywhere in the house. So, a quick cleanup after every cooking should be made as a practice. I have swept the floor and I am using my Agaro electric spin mop for mopping it. It's really a boon, I tell you. I'm using it almost on a daily basis after my night cleaning routine so that my mornings in the kitchen are a bliss. I have a dedicated video on the usage of this product. Link is in the description box. God, I have mentioned about so many links today. I need to recheck and mention them without fail. Anyways, Samir went down for a couple of minutes, so he asked kids to start and said he would join. So here Mihika served herself tomato pickle and Tanvi wanted cabbage pickle, and this with hot rice and ghee is divine. Mihika is allergic to ghee. I don't know why. From childhood, if she eats ghee, she simply gets pimples on her face within the next few hours or by next day. This is not observed once but many times and she just loves ghee. The rice was hot, so I mixed the rice and pickle for them, and they liked the pickles very much, and I am sorted for the next few weeks. The coming weeks are really very hectic, and cooking complete meals daily might not be possible. So, these pickles will be handy for me on a daily basis then. Painting work is now going on in this house, and those who follow me on Insta might already know this as I have shared a reel on the halat of my house. So, I'm trying my best to make everything at home. With this, we come to the end of this video. Hope you all liked it. If yes, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you all soon with a new video. Until then, take care, keep smiling. Bye bye.